They will work for you. They will work for everybody you know. They'll work for everybody that I know. They just work. It's really thrilling to know that.
Now, Susan, we're really curious here. Is it ever too late to fix a relationship that fell apart because of harsh judgment behaviors?
Well, it's interesting. What happens so much when people call me the first time is they're not sure if they want to reconcile with the person who broke up with them, but they're in pain and they want to know if they can, transform the pain, yes. And then as they transform the pain, they either acknowledge that they did something that was really regrettable, which is why the relationship ended, the person broke up with them because of their behavior, or they may realize that the person broke up with them because it wasn't someone that they really wanted to spend their life with. And so what's fascinating about it is if they realize that there's something they did that was disappointing to their partner, and that was the trigger. That's why the person broke up with them. So if they have this evolved consciousness, then in every single case you can get the person back. Even if the person has moved on to another relationship. And that's a big one for you to hear and swallow. But it's true because I've worked with people and we've done it. If they realize that the other person's behaviors were not sufficient to meet their own needs, and that even if that person broke up with them, it was because they were really the instigator. If they have that awareness, if they have that consciousness, then in almost every case they don't want to reconcile. They can, but they don't want to. And so that's what you have to really think about. Not whether you can get him back or her back, but what was the cause of the breakdown, what needs of yours and the other person were not met. And whether you want to live the rest of your life without those needs being met, or whether you see that other person, the partner, living his or her life without all those needs being met. And of course, if you're willing to evolve yourself, then you will be able, in the process of learning Heartspace skills with me, you'll be able to meet more of your partner's needs.
There you go. Perfectly said. So things can work out if both people want that.
No, sorry for correcting you. It has nothing to do with the second person. It has to do with you. It's all about you. Are you willing to evolve? Are you willing to learn more skills? Are you willing to meet more of the other person's needs? Are you willing to motivate and inspire that person to reunite with you? That's how reconciliation occurs. That's what I teach. If it needed both of you, you'd be back in 1953 in therapy. God help you. And it would take forever. So I'm being very straightforward now. This is what I've seen. This is what I believe. This is what I know to be true. Life is short, as Gigi said. Let's have a great one.
Thank you for the clarity, Susan. Of course, it takes one person.
And see what a good sport she is? What a doll. What a doll. How many people in the world would be willing to be corrected on TV, on their own show, and still be a doll? She's an amazing person.
So is she, really. Now, going forward, Susan, is judging someone, let's say, even judging yourself, is this an addiction?
It truly is. It's truly an addiction. And in fact, the reason that Gigi can be so easygoing when I did what I just did is because she's not hooked by judging herself and being judged by other people. And she knows it's just nonsense to have those thoughts. She knows that. So she just wanted to hear what the information was. She can hear the information. If you're somebody who's hooked on judging yourself and judging others, you're going to miss so much because you're going to start defending yourself. Even if you don't say those words out loud that won't help you, you're still going to be thinking defensive words. And it just never gets you anywhere. And it is an addiction.
We don't have time for that either.
That's right.
Now, how can we go about shifting into mindfulness and awareness so that we no longer fall prey to all the interior pain? Please tell us about your favorite exercise.
Most of the stories you tell about yourself and others are untrue. I'm not saying they're lies. I'm saying that they're untrue. They're insufficiently true because you don't have a rigorous thinking habit. So if you say, Bob is an idiot, that's your story and you're sticking to it. And you talk to me, I'm going to say, well, if Bob's your partner or Bob's your business partner and Bob's an idiot, this is a problem for you. So you'd be better off if you could see Bob in a different light, don't you think? Well, yes, but he's an idiot. Okay, but thinking of him as an idiot blocks you from having a great intimate life. It blocks you from having a great career. So you get nothing out of it. That's where the addiction aspect kicks in. So let's really investigate this. Bob is an idiot. And if you do the 4 questions of inquiry, question number 1, is it true? Yes, no, or maybe. Well, I think he's an idiot. He may be an idiot. Well, we're getting somewhere. Okay, good. Question 2, what evidence do you use? Well, I feel that, no. Evidence is not about feelings. Evidence is about facts. Did he forget to ship a $50,000 order and now your company is in trouble? Did he get himself into a situation and have a DUI? What is it that you're judging him for having done or not done? So most of the time, the person who thinks someone's an idiot has a lot of trouble coming up with the facts that would indicate that Bob is a guy with lots of problems. Just FYI. Mostly they haven't even looked in that direction to look for facts. But they've got a couple of things after I guide them through it. Okay. Question number 3, how do you feel when you tell yourself the story that your husband is an idiot? Well, I feel angry and I feel furious and okay. Question number 4, how would you feel if I could show you that that story's not true and that there's a truer, more powerful, and more peaceful story? Well, now, usually the person is so hooked on Bob's an idiot that it takes a while for me to shake them off of that to, well, I guess I'd feel a lot better. Yes, you would. Okay, how can we transform this story into a story that's truer, more peaceful, and more powerful? Well, and it depends on who Bob is, obviously. But if Bob didn't ship $50,000 worth of merchandise in a company, and Bob's job isn't shipping, then there's already a lot of options, right? So if he's in sales, or if he's the CFO, or whatever it is, even if he's in production, if he's not the shipping person, the shipping department, then there is a way to fix it. If the complaint is about Bob, who's in your intimate relationship with you, your boyfriend, your husband, whatever, then what did Bob do that was idiotic? Well, maybe Bob forgot to buy you a Christmas present last year. Well, Christmas is coming. Now you have an opportunity to motivate him, not just with, indirect hints, but go into a magazine, pull out some pages. Bob, I know you felt so awful when December 24th came and you hadn't gotten around to getting me a gift. I know you felt really badly about it. Here are 3 things. I would love any of them. I would be excited and thrilled and grateful for any of them. Can I give you and if it's true that he felt bad, I'll say yeah. Or you could look at it, well, what did he do to make it up to you after Christmas came and went? So you have many, many turnarounds. And the point is, get out of the habit of believing the judgmental thought and get into the habit of turning the thought around.
Oh, beautifully put, Susan. And I hope you all get what you want for Christmas.
Yes.
Now, what is the connection, Susan, between judging ourselves and anger?
People who are judgmental invariably have an addiction to anger. That is what the addiction is. As I've said many times on Gigi's show, the Primary addiction is not to alcohol or drugs or gambling or shopping or multiple sex partners or food. Those are all the secondary addictions. The primary addiction is to fear, anger, and or sadness. The angry person tends to eat a lot. The sad person tends to drink a lot, and on, right? So that's where the problem is. It's the brain chemistry, and then the brain wiring. If the brain isn't wired in a particular way, then you're going to fall prey to these addictive behaviors.
There you go. What happens to most spouses who are very judgmental?
I'm a divorce mediator. I can tell you. And 75% of all divorces in women over the age of 50 are initiated by those women. And most of those divorces are initiated by women who have had more than enough of being judged and criticized. Enough. So if you're married to someone and she's about 50 and you've got this habit and you don't want to end up giving half of your assets away, because divorce in most states, it's about splitting the assets, then you need to turn over a new leaf immediately.
Very important.
Yeah,
Now,
even if they don't do it for love, if you just do it for money, whatever's going to make you do it, to stop.
that's a motivator as well, of course. Now, what if the secret is to avoid people who are indeed harsh and critical? How do you really teach clients to reprogram their choices in friends and lovers?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if you've been in a relationship with somebody who's harsh and judgmental, it shouldn't take long for you to realize that you don't want to do it again. Now, maybe you don't think you deserve better, so I have to work on your self-esteem. Or maybe you were shocked and surprised when you found out what that person was really like, then I have to teach you how to finesse for information. But the bottom line is, I have to teach you goal reaching, and I have to teach you how to find your perfect life partner so that you focus on what you do want instead of getting trapped and stuck in a lot of different relationships that you don't want. So self-esteem, finessing for information, goal-reaching skills so you stay really focused and determined, and of course, my perfect life partner workbook. All these things I teach.
Wish I knew you a long time ago, Susan. Now,
Thank you.
how does all of this really connect to the idea that people will be happy when they get a job or they get a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a baby or the big house or lots of money, etc.?
You know, happiness is an inside job. It has nothing to do with externals. You can go to any one of a number of houses in Montecito that cost millions of dollars and find very unhappy people. You can go to the maternity hospital, wing, and you can see lots and lots of people who are happy the minute the baby arrives. Maybe they're going to be happy for a few more days, and then it's very, very it's very hard to be happy when the baby cries and you're not getting any sleep. So money doesn't buy happiness. A baby doesn't buy happiness. You see a lot of people who are ecstatic at their wedding and even ecstatic on the honeymoon. Take a look at them 2 years later. Not so many of them are happy, let alone ecstatic. So it is an inside job, and you have to be able to really clear out all that negativity that just arises out of nowhere. It's a biochemical problem, and you have to be able to literally push it away and not pay attention to it.
Now, I really get that one. Happiness is within, and our thoughts, perfectly put. So you're saying that we really need to be able to feel happy no matter what our situation may be.
Yeah, you have to accept. We've done a show on acceptance just recently. So you have to accept what is first in order to be able to transform it. If you don't accept what already is, I laughingly call that insanity, because it already is. You know, it's like, I'm not going to accept that this is water in a ceramic cup. That's crazy. Now, maybe I'd rather have apple juice, so I accept that this is water, and then when I leave here, I go buy apple juice. Easy enough. That's a very simple example. But how many of us have sat there going, I don't like water, why is this water? It's not enough water, I want more water. Craziness. Just a total waste of our lives. Decades of our lives down the drain, thinking that Bob should be different from Bob. When you live on a planet where there are 8 billion people and you could have thousands and thousands and thousands of choices. And that's what I want for you. That's what Gigi wants for you. To have the clarity you need to make the choices you want, to have the life you desire.
With the time that we are allowed left, Susan, can you tell us about a transformation of someone that was sad, angry, what have you, and how all of a sudden they were lifted up and could have the life that they really wanted?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite stories about someone who was just so unhappy and mourning the loss of a marriage that had been dead years before, and mourning the fact that the relationship after it didn't work out either, and mourning the fact that he couldn't seem to find anybody. Well, mourning. Do you want to be with a guy like that? Nobody else does. So the first step was for him to acknowledge that his emotional state was a real problem and a gigantic factor in his being without a loving girlfriend. So we worked on that with internal skills, self-empathy, the 4 questions of inquiry, also the saliva and urine test, also the supplements. And he got himself into a much better shape. But this was a biochemical issue that was from the past generation, possibly more than 2 generations. So this was something that had been in his family and his lineage for a long time. So for him, we also had him have Howard Wills work on him a number of times to get him much more peaceful, much more present. And then, because he still hadn't found the loving relationship that he wanted desperately, I then encouraged him to go to the Oneness University, where you have like 150 monks praying over you 24 hours a day, and you can only feel joyous. There's no way you're going to be able to hold on to feeling miserable. And he came back from there, and finally we were able to get him a sensational girlfriend who was, by the way, exactly what he was looking for, and even looked exactly like his wife had when he had met her like 20 years earlier. Because the new one's a lot younger. And so this is the dream come true. You get rid of the misery by accepting that you're miserable. You look at all the things you can do to enhance your internal state, your emotional state, your biochemical state, your brain wiring. You do everything that you need to do until you reach your goal. That is my recipe. You don't learn a little of this and get a few goals. You learn this until you have the life you desire.